This week on Pole House Black Pot Weekend Getaways, after using some wonderful ham from last week's video, we fix Mountain Man breakfast. Using our travel guide, we visit Fort Osage. This is a fort that was reconstructed in the 70s.
I think they're done, hon. Well, good morning, everybody. It's fairly early, about 7 o'clock. I've been up for a few minutes. Iris got me up about 6:30. She said she needed to come outside to go to the bathroom. So it's everybody else is just now getting ready to stir inside, Angel and Leslie. But it was a windy night. Got pretty cool last night. Luckily we had heaters, so it wasn't too bad. But we had warm weather all week, almost into the mid-80s one day. And then this cold front came through these storms yesterday, and it really cooled off. So we have to have stocking hat on again, and my jacket, and probably not going to be quite enough early this morning. But when everybody else gets up, we'll get started and get some breakfast. But in the meantime, I think I'll give you a quick tour of our campsite. All right, we are at Site 6. Say good morning to Iris. Iris, say good morning to everybody. Say hi. Yeah. So I'll give you this quick tour, and we'll start off. This is a 30 amp electric site, and this is a pretty good. It's paved. And like almost, I think all of the campsites here, they're all paved. Irish, Daddy's talking on. And they all have this really nice gravel pad beside where our table and your lantern hook. Nice fire pit with the concrete underneath it. A fold over grate. And then, of course, back over in the corner where it's supposed to be is our electrical plug-in and 30 amp and a couple 110s. We ran electrical cord up here to the back of the truck, and then we put a little heater in there for Leslie to keep her warm, because it's supposed. I think it got down to lower 40s tonight. If you can hear this, Iris is being noisy. Oh, well, Angel's up and stirring.
Not very well, but I'm up.
But got coffee ready, so we're having our coffee. We're getting ready to fix our breakfast this morning. So this is part 2, I guess, of our trip here to Kansas City.
To Weston Bend State Park and the Santa Fe Trail.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much we're going to show of this state park. It's a lovely place. We're going to have to come back because we've got so much to do this weekend.
Yeah, we're not going to do this.
This is a jumping off spot for, or at least Weston Bend, the town of Weston Bend, was a jumping off spot for all the trails, just like
this whole area.
Well,
Independence,
New Franklin, and
Franklin.
Yeah.
As it moved, kind of kept migrating.
As the railroad tracks kept migrating.
Yeah.
The starting off spot for these trails started migrating. So, I mean, it is significant for as far as the Santa Fe Trail goes, but there's some bigger things that we're going to go see.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to go see a Fort Osage today.
That's right.
So we're going to fix breakfast, which is a Mountain Man breakfast.
Yeah, that's
pretty quick and, well, maybe not so quick.
Yeah, because we start the first part and then you bake the rest. But we've never done that actually on our YouTube here. But it's actually a very popular breakfast item for Dutch Evans.
Yeah,
Camping Dutch Evans. So we're going to regroup and get started and show you how to do it. We'll be right back. Okay, we started by browning about 8 ounces of breakfast pork sausage. Cool, and all the steam coming up, you probably can't see anything in there. That's alright. Okay, now, we had some wonderful leftover smoked ham from Wabash. Yeah, Wabash barbecue last night. We had so much food we couldn't eat it all, so we picked the best thing that we could leave left over. We thought, oh, this ham would be perfect for today's breakfast. So that's what we did. We each had a sample last night, and the rest we're going to eat today. Okay, so the sausage and ham were done, so we pulled them out. We left the residual oil in there. Angel chopped up some
Angel and Wade.
some potatoes, real small dices.
It's supposed to be shredded.
Yeah, you can shred them, but we forgot our shredder. We thought we had one in there, we didn't. So we're going to add that in there. Now, if you have a freezer and have a way to do it, it would work fine to use frozen hash brown potatoes and just use them. So we're going to just kind of lay them right in the bottom, let them start cooking. But we got to add a couple more things. And where did I put it? I thought I had it out here. Maybe I did. Here they are. Now, of course, we have seasoned with enough salt in our ham and probably our sausage, but we got to have a little bit of salt, of course.
It takes quite a bit of salt
in our
for
potatoes. Yeah, and our eggs. We're going to have eggs in here too. So we're going to put some seasoned salt because we like that with our potatoes. So put a nice amount of seasoned salt because we're going to add a little salt to the eggs too before we get them down. And then we'll put a little bit of black pepper. Okay, now we're going to put the lid on, let it cook for just a couple of minutes because these are raw potatoes. And then we're going to try to, usually if you can make it work, you can kind of make a patty if it stays, which I don't think it will with these. And then we can just flip it over and then the bottom will be cooked while you bake it and the top will be brown. But that's okay, we're going to get them halfway cooked this way and then we'll go to the baking process. So we'll let them cook and we'll be back in a few minutes to regroup. Okay, I got them stirred one more time real quick. I'm not done yet, of course. Had to add a little bit more oil. And I'm going to put the lid back on for a few minutes. And we're going to go over and get the eggs ready.
What you doing, hon?
Okay, I cracked 6 eggs into our bowl. And we'll give them a quick little whisk. Okay, and I'll finish them up. We're going to add a little bit of salt. Use the regular salt in this. And a little bit of pepper.
Be careful, that comes out
religiously. Yeah, this is prolific. And just a little bit of milk. And you can use water too. Some people say that water actually makes a better, fluffier egg, like omelets and stuff, but you can use either one. Or just leave it milk out completely if you want. I'll give him a quick little whisk. And they're going to go on top here in a minute. When we get ready to assemble this Mountain Man breakfast. Bring me out. Alright, Angel, we need the meat.
Here it comes, dear.
Okay. Alright, so we're going to assemble that right on top of our hash brown potatoes. Bring back, when you come back with the eggs, hon, can you bring back a spoon? Or I can do it with it. No, I can just do it with this. I can just do it with the bowl, it's fine. Doesn't have to be perfect. At this point, we're just kind of layering everything.
Here's the eggs.
Alrighty, I'll trade you. Oh, pick them up before the wind blows them away. Now, even they pour the eggs over top. Eggs are in. Last ingredient is going to be, we bought some special cheese here locally, some little, and actually they didn't have any as it shredded, so we got some little cubes. So we're just going to put them right on top. Now, this recipe is kind of a standard. You can use bacon also, change it up a little bit. If you're energetic, I know some people will put everything from onions and green peppers and mushrooms and things like that. So whichever you like. Half of our family.
Fixing this for
all of us. Yeah.
And Leslie don't like any vegetables for the most
well,
part.
she'd handle the mushrooms and that would be it. And Angel doesn't like the mushrooms or neither one of them like the onions. And Leslie doesn't like the peppers, but Angel does. So we just do it this way. It's easier. Okay. That is it. Lid back on. Okay, now we're going to see Angel, come and see if you think these charcoals ready. And I'm gonna get my gloves.
No, not yet.
A couple more minutes. All right. Yep, we'll be right in just a couple minutes and we'll get bacon. Okay, charcoal's ready. We're gonna dump them out on top.
And you lost one, dear.
Yeah, they fall through every once in a while. That's all right. We'll get it in. We have some on the bottom anyway. Now we're doing standard bake. So we're doing standard. We got a deep 10-inch Dutch oven. So we're gonna do still basically a 1/3, 2/3. So we went ahead with 26 pieces of charcoal. So that'll give us about what, 8 or 9 on the bottom. And the rest on top. So we'll start with our ones around the bottom. And as always, when you put them on the bottom, we never put any in the middle.
Because he's naturally going to draw into the middle, right?
So we're going to put charcoal on top. We're going to do just a nice ring around the outside. And then put 4 in the middle because we do kind of a checkerboard. And the wind is pretty gusty today. And wind is a very bad enemy, I should say, to charcoal cooking or any kind of cooking outside. The heat just blows around, acts weird, doesn't come directly up underneath the Dutch oven or on top. So you get hot spots and cool spots. We're still baking, so we're gonna do a little rotate every 10 minutes, probably 30 minutes at the most. This thing should be done since everything, a lot of stuff's already cooked in it, except for the eggs. So, all right, we'll be back. All right. First 10 minutes are done. Time to rotate. Let's see. Well, there we go. Okay, it's been 30 minutes.
We're going to look at it.
And now Iris is barking at us.
That's all right. She's had her breakfast. She chose not to eat. Oh, yeah, it's done.
And the main thing we want to make, it's not brown on top, but that's okay. Stick
There's
down
quite
inside.
a bit of cheese.
Make sure we're
it's
not
solid.
got egg. As long as the egg's set, we're good.
Isn't that pretty, though?
Pretty. Okay, we're going to dish up and it's time for breakfast.
So...
How's it, hon?
Oh, good.
Yes, it is. Great breakfast. Some of that smoked ham in there is good with that sausage.
Yep.
Well, this is a classic.
You know what you're barking at.
Well, sorry for the interruption. There was somebody walking, so I had to go crazy. Anyways, it's enough. I'm trying to be a watchdog. This is a classic Dutch oven recipe that you all want to try. for your next breakfast. All right, we have come downstairs in the visitor center to the museum, and there's a lot of neat artifacts and things, and one that kind of interests me is the Missouri River transportation. Started out with the early dugout canoe, which should be right here from the beginning of time that even the Native Americans used way before settlers came. Then by the early and mid 1800s, the flat bottom boat used to haul cargo, and the keel boat, which is here, came out in the early 1800s, and this is actually a type of boat that was famous for traversing the Missouri River by Lewis and Clark expedition when it was built in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1803. Then also later in the 1800s, we started getting these type of steam boats, and this one like this actually is a replica of one that actually first came up the Missouri River to Fort Osage in 1819. Then later in the 1800s, the larger steamboats traveled this thing that held lots over 200 and some tons of cargo at one time. Then, even in the 1940s, during World War II, they used these landing crafts for tanks and other supplies, traveled up and down the Missouri River. And then finally, now we have more of this modern diesel-powered towboats that use for pushing large barges. A lot of stuff now is used mainly for grain and sand and gravel and things like that up and down the Missouri River.
This canoe was discovered during construction in 1992, and it's estimated to being over 200 years old. This is off the USS Sutter, 1929 to 1954. I bet them moccasins didn't keep their feet warm.
All right, we are actually inside Fort Osage. This was Blockhouse 1. This is one of 5 of the blockhouses. And the military soldiers would go on duty up on the 2nd story of the blockhouses. All right, I have come upstairs to Blockhouse 1. And this is where they would have, soldiers would have looked out over the fort. So right down over there is the factory. And then right down over there is the overlook of the Missouri River. Go back over here. Out this viewing spot is another view of the beautiful Missouri River. We're gonna come in here and tour the next building, which is the factory.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How are you today?
I'm great.
Good.
All right, coming out the back door of the factory, you can see an overlook of the Missouri River. One of the main reasons they put this fort along the river because a lot of traders and cargo was transported up and down the river. That's why this is so important to have this fort right here where it was located. William Clark was the main overseer of building this back in 1808. That's William Clark of the Lewis and Clark expedition of 1804 to 1806. This is the top floor of the factory. This side over here, of course, was where the head factor lived. He was off duty, his quarters. And then over here, they stored lots of other merchandise. On this side,
This is where they would give hides and stuff.
well, this is the lower level where they brought in the furs and processed them, looks like, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. We're on a table like that.
And down there. Maybe that might be it.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, here's another interesting fact. We're in the cellar, the first of 4 floors in the factory. And if you look here, back down here, you can see it a lot. You see this red line. And it goes all the way across. This is the original foundation of the building, and then everything on top of it was rebuilt when they reconstructed the factory building.
This is the trade room, so that's where the trade would happen between the American federal government and the Osage and any native group in a peace treaty with the Osage. So not just anybody would be able to come in here and trade, just really specific groups could. So the Osage and other native groups would be bring hides and pelts to then trade for manufactured goods.
So can you explain to me the significance of Fort Osage to the Santa Fe Trail?
So yeah, George Sibley, who was the factor here at Fort Osage, in charge of the trade between Native Americans and the American federal government. He was also part of the first survey of the Santa Fe Trail. And so it's called the Sibley Survey, and it actually started from Fort Osage, and they surveyed all the way to Santa Fe and back. So that's the connection between Fort Osage and the Santa Fe Trail.
Great.
So did the Santa Fe Trail ever start in Fort Osage?
So it kind of did for a little while. So William Becknell is actually going to leave from Fort Osage.
This is the officers' quarters. I'm thinking this would be a very cold place to be.
Hard place to sleep too.
2 people probably slept in each one of these beds, so.
Well, we made it back in the truck after a really informational tour of Fort Osage. And Leslie, what do you think was? Yeah, let me turn the camera. Leslie, what interested you the most?
I like seeing the fort. I thought it was kind of neat seeing it.
Right.
And the old foundings and some of the buildings from when the originally built. Some of it was originally built, and the rest of it they just built on over it.
Yeah, because that's all that was left, wasn't it? What about you, Angel? What do you think was most interesting?
There's so much to see and do here.
Yes.
It is well worth coming and spending
What
a
was
whole
it,
day.
$8?
Yeah, it was $8 a piece to get in.
Which is very reasonable.
One thing interesting fact or trivia, whatever you want to say, is the factory has 2 different meanings in this time period. First is a place for manufacturing, or a place of trade with the Native Americans. So, that was what that factory is what interested me the most, and the help they had there.
I think the thing that I liked interesting the most was, of course, part of a history lesson, seeing these reconstruction of these neat buildings. But this is so named Fort Osage in the fact that there was, well, it started with William Clark, and he was assigned to find a spot along Missouri River to put a fort and then to do trading with the Native Americans. And government wanted to do a treaty with the Osage Indian Nation. So that's how we ended up here with this spot that William Clark picked out. And then when they made that treaty with the Native Americans to be able to have a fort that was manned by soldiers and to be able to use as a trading post for goods and services, mainly furs and tools and clothing and things like that. And also they would provide a blacksmith shop so they can do local ironwork and things like that. And probably the other interesting thing, which I was not aware of, was in the case of some type of a siege from maybe some other Indian nation or something outside the Osage, the fort was promised that those people could come in and for protection from outside attacks. So that was pretty interesting. So really cool. Lots of great place to come.
Well,
on a side note, we talked about this. Even though most of this is an outside tour,
there's no pets allowed.
No pets allowed.
No,
So
figure that out.
luckily it was cool enough and cloudy. The doggies could stay in the truck, so it wasn't a problem. But it could be a problem.
But they're
so.
still thirsty.
Yeah.
That about does it for this weekend getaway. We want to thank Leslie for all her help in helping us videotape some of what went on. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, which is a like. Share us on Facebook or Instagram or whatever your social media site is. And subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you for watching.
Yep. And we'll see you next week. Stay tuned because we're going to do next part of our Santa Fe Trail journey.
Which is the Arabia Steamboat Museum.
Yep, we'll find out how it ties into the Santa Fe Trail. See you next week.